Michael, what did you make of what Kelly said and then what the president said about it again on Friday?
You know, everything in the era of Trump is about psychology now. You're familiar with the Rorschach test, where you look at the blots and try to figure it out? Well, now it's the Trump shock test, where if you like Trump, you like what he's doing, and his explanations seem to make sense. If you hate him, it doesn't matter what he says or what he does. You're just going to, that's where you start. I thought the comments from General Kelly yesterday were incredibly powerful, and it confirmed the theory that a lot of Trump supporters had, which is that Trump was trying to say something nice, but probably just wasn't very good at this conversation. That's not Trump's wheelhouse. Trump's not the touchy-feely. He's not the feel your pain guy. He's the, crack down, go get ISIS kind of guy. And so when you heard General Kelly lay out, here's what I suggested he say, and then you heard what the congresswoman and the family said, he said, you could see, you could see what he wanted to say, and then you could see how he probably didn't say it very well. And I think that for most people, when we get out of this issue, that's what they're going to be left with is John Kelly's comments and Trump's, inept handling of it. I will say, though, that this whole issue is bad for President Trump. And it goes back to when he attacked Senator McCain. The kind of people who like President Trump tend to like the military, support the military. And when he's in these emotionally charged, messy situations, this is not his wheelhouse, no matter how it ends up coming out.
And one more thing quickly on that. Kelly made this charge that proved out probably to be, you'd have to say, incorrect, because the video shows that the Congresswoman did not say what he suggested she had said. How does that work with the Trump shock test? Do Trump supporters still say, oh, well, the video may make him look like he was incorrect, but I still believe him?
Well, I mean, I think if I were the White House and he made a fact error, and it looks like he did, there's some talk from Sarah Huckabee Sanders about, well, she said some other things off camera, whatever. You can own that mistake. It doesn't change the narrative that most people dealt with, which is the president makes a call, tries to say a nice thing. A congresswoman who had publicly called for his impeachment makes a political issue out of it. That's where that part of the story starts. And so, you make a fact error because you're telling a story. Maybe you misremember, whatever. That's not the issue. The bigger issue is there. But why are we even in this conversation? It's because the president felt the need to talk about the way that previous presidents handled these situations. You don't need it. Meanwhile, there's something much bigger two things the president could be talking about. He could be talking about achieving a goal with ISIS, where we have truly reached a new level of destruction now that they've lost Raqqa. And then there's the events in Niger themselves. And he could talk about, well, what is our strategy? Why are we there? If ISIS is moving to Africa, as some reporting indicates, is Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina right that we're going to have this shift of resources, and we're going to be seeing a lot of disturbing headlines from Africa because we can't let them recreate the conditions pre-9/11 where they could train up for an attack on the American homeland. Those are great topics and make all these other topics look awfully small.
Well, there's a third thing he could be talking about, and that's the budget resolution that the Senate passed. The House has passed one. It paves the way for tax reform. How do you think the politics and the policy are on what's happening in Congress on that?
I find it fascinating how little conversation I'm hearing on the right in the conservative media and conservatives about this, because pretty much people know that this vote was just basically a loophole you had to jump through to get to the real thing. And we don't even know what the real thing is going to be. Somewhere there are Republicans in a back room. If they're good Republicans, they're smoking a cigar like I would be. I would recommend a Padron.
Can you still do that?
And they're back in the smoke-filled room. And we're going to see this new thing that comes out that people are going to have to deal with. And so this was really apparently more procedural. I know the Wall Street Journal has urged the House, just pass what the Senate passed, get it done, let's move forward. I'm not hearing that that's going to happen at all.
In the meantime, President Trump said earlier this week he was going to declare a national emergency on the opioid crisis next week. Now, Politico reports that White House officials were blindsided by his comments. Do you think we'll see this happen next week? And remind us, Michael, what would it mean if the president formally declares a national emergency?
Well, it means immediately that resources become available and prioritized in a budget that's there's not a lot of money floating around. So that's what it means. I'm of two minds. One is Trump, it's got to be obvious that Trump is presiding in this kind of stream of consciousness way. You know, he wakes up one day and he sees something on TV, and that's the big thing. And so I have no trouble believing the Politico report that he had not talked to anyone else about this. But also, one of the reasons that Donald Trump is president today is because he embraced this issue during the presidential primary season and during the campaign. Really personally, he in New Hampshire, right up the road from me right now, this is a huge topic. He resonated with New Hampshire voters. When you have more people dying from opioids than died in the Vietnam War, that's a real issue. And I don't think anyone believes that Trump is just kind of making up this issue for political gain. He seems to really care about it. Could he be more organized? Could he maybe talk to somebody in his budget team or HHS or something? Possibly, but it seems like it's an issue that he's been talking about for a while.
Okay, Michael Graham in Boston, thanks so much.
Happy to be here.